Welcome to another installment of From Steve's Kitchen. I'm Steve. This is my kitchen. Today we're going to cook up beef stew. A great meal on a cold winter's day, warm you right down to your toes. So let's go ahead and get started with the ingredients that you need and the steps to make it. Okay, so the ingredients you're going to need for beef stew is obviously some beef. Here I got a brisket as well as a London broil. You can use chuck. Most people use chuck. I tend to use a London broil. It gives a good taste to the meat. With that, a couple of onions, some carrots, green beans, potatoes, peas, and some gravy and tomato sauce. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our onions. We're going to cut and dice them up, saute them in the pot. So let's get a little bit of oil in that pot there. A little bit of oil. Get a little bit of heat on there, and we'll get the onions all diced up and into the pot. Okay, so we got our one onion diced up. That's going to go into the pot, and we'll dice up the second onion. Second onion diced up into the pot. Okay, so we got our onions in the pot and they're starting to cook down, get translucent. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut up this hunk of beef into cubes and throw it in the pot, and we're going to brown the beef. And brown the beef before we put it into the slow cooker. So we're cubing it up. We're going for about that size, about an inch square, more or less. Some pieces will be a little bigger, some pieces a little smaller. We're going to put this in the slow cooker for about 8-9 hours, so this will cook down and melt in your mouth, probably even shred down a bit. So let's continue to get this all cubed up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got almost all our meat chopped up. We're still working on it. We can see we've got a whole nice big bowl of it. I'm going to actually start it in the pot here. The onions have a nice look to them. Here's a quick look at the onions. You can see they've caramelized nicely. So we're going to put some of our beef in, get that started, and continue to cut the rest of it, and then we'll start working on the vegetables. Okay, before we throw the beef in, you can season up a little bit of salt. Pepper. And a little bit of garlic powder. Okay, give that a quick turn. Get that all in there. And then into the pot it goes. Okay, so we got the second half of the beef cut up. Again, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. Okay, get that mixed up. We'll get this into the pot, get everything all browned up, and while that's browning, we'll move on to the vegetables. Okay, so we get the beef browning. We're going to start cutting up the vegetables. First thing we're going to do is peel all our potatoes and chop them up, wash them, get them in the pot.
Actually not this pot. What we're going to do is we're going to be using our slow cooker in this case, and because of the amount that I'm making, I'm going to be splitting it between 2 slow cookers. So what you want to do now is get the pots of the slow cookers prepared. Okay. Here's one. And here's 2. We put a little bit of oil in each one, just coat the areas. That way they have a nice non-stick coating on them. And that way nothing sticks. Okay, so let's get that taken care of. Okay, so again, just a little bit of canola oil in each one. Extra little splash in that one. One's a little bit bigger. Okay. Just get that oil all over. That way nothing sticks. And now once the meat is browned and ready to go, we can start putting it in our pots. Now our pots are ready to go. Okay, so we got all the potatoes here. With a whole 5-pound bag. We'll probably end up cutting just about all of them. So we'll grab our little peeler here. Go peel some potatoes into the garbage, and we'll get them cut up, washed, and on to the next step. Okay, so we got all our potatoes peeled. We're going to chop them up, wash them, and get them ready to go into our slow cooker. And throw them in our colander here. I'm going to soak everybody down, throw it in a nice big bowl. Okay. So our potatoes in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to peel and cut the carrots and get them in ready to go. Okay, so we got our carrots all peeled, ready to go. So we're going to chop them up and then give them a wash. Next, we're going to cut off the ends and the tips into the colander. Okay, so we've got the carrots all cut up. We're going to go give them a wash in the sink, get them all nice and clean, and we're going to start putting everything together into the slow cooker. Okay, so we have our slow cookers on our counter here. I already showed you that I oiled them just so we have a little bit of a non-stick coating. So what we're going to do now is first thing is we're going to get some of the carrots and potatoes in. We'll split it between the two. We're going to try to get this as even as possible. I'm going to do a handful of carrots. Handful of carrots. Some more carrots here. So we're getting some of the potatoes in. A few potatoes in here. Okay, so we got our potatoes and carrots in here. Grab a spoon. You use a plastic or rubber slotted spoon. Obviously no metal in here. Just stir them up a little bit, mix everybody up, make sure everybody's good in the mix. Got a few more carrots in here. One more carrot in here. There we go. Okay. So now at the same time what we're going to do is we're going to start moving our beef in here as well. I'm just going to go one scoop to each pot, just back and forth. Normally, if you're just doing one slow cooker, obviously you can just dump it all in, maybe just strain out some of the fat. With this one, you'll notice I'm trying to keep out as much of the fat as possible. Put a little splash in for flavor, but other than that, we'll let the gravy do the talking. I think what we're going to do is run the rest of it through the colander because there's a lot of rendered down fat in there, so I'm going to make this life a little easier. Okay. Last little bit of onion and beef right in there. Okay, so now we got our beef, we got our potatoes and our carrots in here. We're going to give it a little stir. Get everybody mixed up. Mixed up in there. And now what we're going to do next is we have our green beans. Okay, we're going to get those all broken up, washed up, and into the pots. Okay, so with all our green beans here, probably going to end up with just one bag split between the two. So let's get it in there and off we go. Okay, so we give our green beans a quick rinse. We're going to throw them into our pots. There we go. See if we get everybody in there nice and tight. As this all cooks down, you have no problem. There we go. Okay, so same thing, we're going to stir this up a little bit. Everybody mixed in there, and then next we're going to put in our gravy. Our gravy is made up of 2 separate parts. We're going to do 30 ounces of beef gravy, 30 ounces of tomato sauce per pot. Okay? Get that mixed up, gives it like a nice reddish brownish color to it. It's really good. Alright, so let's get a can opener and we'll get that ready to go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to dump the tomato sauce into a bowl here. And then we'll dump the gravy in as well, so I can stir it up in there and put it right into the pot. Okay, try to hold this up so you can see it. So we're going to just mix that gravy in with the tomato sauce. Again, it's equal parts, in this case 30 ounces and 30 ounces. Mix that up. We'll get that into the slow cooker. We'll do one for this one for this one. Mix everybody up a little bit. And again, we're going to cook this for about 8-9 hours. Now, because this is something that's going to be served tomorrow, I'm going to cook it for about 3-4 hours today. We can give it a good stir, and then you know, as everything cooks down, and then we're going to finish it up tomorrow. Now, you'll notice that I did have these can of peas here. The peas will go in right before you serve it. If we put the can of peas in now and cook it for those 8 hours, the peas are going to be mush. What we'll do is we'll open the cans, we'll drain the peas, and dump them in right before we serve it. The heat of the stew will cook those peas real quick. The peas are already cooked, they're just reheating them. Alright, so we're going to come down here, we're going to turn this to low. Alright, let it start getting hot, let it get happy. Going to get everybody in the gravy here, and that will mix in, and as everything starts to heat up and moisture separates, everything will simmer down into a nice pot there. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, so we got the gravy in one, let's put the gravy in the second one. Okay, so we got our gravy in, we're stirring it up a little bit. We're going to turn this to low as well, and again, like the other one, I'm going to let it cook. Today, normally I would let it cook about 8-9 hours, but because this is for tomorrow, I'm going to let it cook for about 3-4 hours or so. I could give it a good stir, and then we'll finish it up tomorrow. So we'll check back in about 3 or 4 hours and see where we're at. Okay, so we're about 4 hours or so into the cook, and as you can see, it is looking good. Everything's kind of softened up a little bit. It's going away nice and easy. We're going to let this go for about another 4 or 5 hours, and it'll be ready to eat.
Now again, because this is going to be served tomorrow, tonight is Sunday night, it's going to be served at lunchtime tomorrow on Monday. Probably going to let this go just about another hour or so, and then we'll finish up the cook tomorrow. And I'll show you stirring in the peas and show you the final product. Okay, so here we are the next day. This has been cooking for a total of about 9 hours, and everything's looking good here. So the last thing we're going to do before we serve is going to stir in our can of peas. And you want to put those peas in afterwards, because if you put them in too early, they just turn to mush. Okay, so that just about wraps it up. I hope you enjoy this recipe, and come on next and see what's coming from Steve's Kitchen. Thanks very much. Have a great day.